Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called Manager Didn't Understand. So, several years ago, I was in a role that required imaging in building systems. Thankfully, we used a commercial product that was able to network boot systems, lay down a baseline OS, and install software packages, updates, configuration files, corporate settings, etc. It worked quite well after I'd spent some time with the product, and on average, a complete system build could be completed in under an hour. A few tweaks for the individual users were needed afterwards, but these took about 5 to 10 minutes and worked nearly automatically, i.e. a desktop tech sets up the build process, clicks go, and watches and wait for the system to complete, while answering email, gets coffee, whatever. They build a few dozen systems daily. I worked with the server and system build team and had little to do or nothing to do with delivering systems to actual users. That was desktop support. A few months go by, and a manager for the desktop support group, we'll call her P, faces criticism that her group takes much too long to get systems to users. Sometimes this was a few days, but sometimes a week or more. I'd heard complaints from her staff that they'd been forbidden to deploy any system to any user prior to either her or her assistant having a look at the systems and reviewing them for approval. This is where the days-long delay stemmed. This, of course, made no sense whatsoever, since each system had been built using the exact same process and were identical except host names and serial numbers. It was like insisting every individual muffin from a bakery faced inspection before hitting the shelf. This manager didn't face criticism very well and refused to acknowledge her individual approval was a waste of time and needlessly repetitive. So she blamed the build process for taking too long. The build takes less than an hour, and a single technician could do about 6 simultaneously. So, of course, a meeting is called to see what, if anything, can be done to speed up the build process and reduce the delays being complained about. As the meeting starts, I mention I've brought a laptop and have hooked it into a projector, so we can all witness the build process, and attendees can actually watch it run while we talk. And I've brought our stopwatch as well. The manager goes into a diatribe about customer service, improving processes, collaboration between teams, and all that, while people keep glancing at the projected build process flying by, without me touching a thing. This is where it gets weird. After nearly 30 minutes of her rambling, I'm finally allowed to pose a question, and I ask politely, "Excuse me P, but where did you get the idea that the build process was to blame? What was the impetus of the idea that the automatic build took too long and is the cause of these delays?" Almost on cue, the laptop going through the build rebooted to finish off the last few installations and did a system chime, showing it was restarting. She was startled and asked, "What was that?" I answered that it was the laptop finishing off the build and, oh, by the way, according to the stopwatch, we are about 33 minutes into the meeting when I started the process. She was livid and demanded to know why I was using obscene language. Everyone in the meeting went silent and turned with quizzical faces towards Manager P. I paused, not sure what she was talking about, and asked, "Excuse me, what obscene language?" She replied she wasn't going to repeat it, but was sure everyone else had heard me. Everyone started looking at each other, and again back to Manager P. As politely as I could, I asked, "I'm not quite sure what language you are referring to, but as we can all see, this system build is nearly done. We are not quite 40 minutes into the meeting, according to the stopwatch, and every system is built using the same process. So could we possibly consider the necessity to review every system before it goes out to staff?" After some time, she relented that she'd reduce the reviews to a system a week to make sure we are building the systems right, and her comment about language seemed to fade. A day later, I'm pulled into my manager's office and told I was being cited for using inappropriate language during the previous meeting. I'm shocked. What language? Can anyone tell me what I said that was inappropriate? I'm told that Manager P stated, "I thought her idea was without merit and used an innuendo to get a reaction. I asked, what innuendo? The manager coughs and mutters, she said that you said her idea was impotent. My jaw dropped, and carefully I explained exactly what I'd in fact said was, what was the impetus of the idea. The manager closes his eyes and shakes his head. Okay, let me just confirm with someone else at the meeting, and we can put this to rest. A day later, my manager confirmed what I'd in fact asked about in the meeting, and had to have a polite but rather awkward conversation with Manager P on vocabulary. He asked me later to please use simpler words when dealing with Manager P, okay? The next story is called Tech Support Wizard. This took place at a radio station. I got a ticket with the title "No sound, needed to work," with the very detailed description, "Please fix it." I didn't know it yet, but I've been waiting for this ticket for about a year. A similar thing happened then, and I've been plotting what I'd do in a similar situation since then. I came to the user's desk and immediately knew what I had to do, what I had prepared for, what I was destined to do, what would be my legacy in this company. I was about to blow this poor user's mind. I saw the little circle with the red line through it, next to the speaker in the taskbar, and my adrenaline started pumping. It was time, so I waved both my hands over the keyboard, humming quietly, and as I'm waving my hands around, I suddenly hit the mute button on the keyboard. I turn to the user and proclaim, "It's fixed," and walk away from the mind explosion. Behind me, I hear "what?" followed by a click and the sound of a promotion audio clip playing. And I know, from this point on, my story will be passed on to generations. The story of the machine whisperer, the legendary PC guy, the tech support wizard. The third story is called They Will Never Learn. I'm on-site support at a Category 3 remote school. All the on-site buildings, including staff and student housing, had their own dish for satellite internet and TV, with a local network joining everyone together and linking the spotty satellite connections for whenever half of them were down, which was every day. There were no students on site, which was unusual as it was a weekday. However, we were expecting a hurricane to pass fairly close by, probably catch the tail end of it. We didn't. Instead, the hurricane changed course at the last minute and hit us. Not an experience I really know how to describe fully. I did get to see the truck parked next to my house get picked up and dragged down the street by the wind, and saw 3 feet of water appear in less than 10 minutes. Eventually it went quiet, but you could still feel the pressure. Glancing outside, we were in the eye of the hurricane. My phone rang, thanks to local buried and shielded phone lines. It was the principal. "Hey, I think the storm knocked out my dish. I need you to get over here ASAP, like now. I'm about to miss the news, and my daughter wants to use social media." I burst out laughing. Then was an awkward moment of silence. "Wait, you are serious? The hurricane hasn't passed yet. No way you can even talk to the satellite. And no way I'm stepping outside and risking my neck." He tried to argue and order me, but luckily the line went dead. Interference as the hurricane hit us again. Wind and rain thundered down, tearing apart the ground outside the house, which was little more than red dust anyway. Took me 6 days to fix all the connections, phone and LAN, and make sure all the dishes could talk to their satellites again. On the 7th day, the principal tried to write me up for not helping during our priority call out. Some users will never learn. The next story is called Admin Password. I've been working at an MSP that services a few small clients. We got one who has a special user we'll call Bob. Bob is an older gentleman that thinks he knows everything. The client can't afford to fire Bob, regardless of what he screws up, because any screw up is a drop in the ocean to the amount of profit he earns the client. I'm at the client side for a routine checkup on their equipment. The client's explicit instructions, as well as our policy, is not to share admin passwords with client staff, including Bob. Bob comes up to me and asks, "I can't get Adobe to work right." He was referring to Acrobat. "I can probably fix it. What seems to be the problem? I just want to install this tool instead." He showed me some shady site. "Sorry, I'd have to review the application before I install it." "Okay, well, I have another issue. Whenever I try to do something on the server, it asks for an admin password. Show me. Bob proceeds to go to the server share folder, browse to an installer for the application I just told him not to use, and then quickly opens it before I can get a good look at it. See? Can you give me the admin password? I need this daily. Sorry, I can't do that. Let me see why you need the password. I closed the prompt to see that the application was the same one I just told him no. Bob gets furious and threatens to tell the client to cancel our contract. The problem is, our contract explicitly protects me from this kind of stuff. Naturally, the client tells Bob to deal with it, and I go about my day. Bob still uses Adobe Acrobat. The last story is called Until Payment is Made. At a small MSP I used to work at quite a while ago now, we did an upgrade of computers for a small business. That involved us supplying and installing 5 new computers and monitors. Our invoices had a standard retention of title clause, which basically says that although we have supplied you goods, until payment is made in full, ownership is retained by us. The invoice was due without payment being made. Several follow-ups were made with standard excuses, but no payment. After over 3 months overdue, the owner of the MSP basically said he would make one more call and attempt to receive payment, and if they didn't pay immediately, we would just go down there and recover our goods. He made the call. Predictably, we got another excuse why they didn't make payment. Right, he says, let's go get our stuff back. When we get there, just start unplugging our computers and pack them up into the car, he says. So we arrive on site to the client. Someone at the client mentions, "Oh, I didn't realize we had you booked to see us today." "You don't," says my boss. As instructed, we just started recovering our equipment. And by recover, I mean just unplugging from power and removing it from their office, with no regards to what they were currently working on at the time. Shutting down the computers properly, allowing them a chance to save their work, etc. "What are you guys doing?" one of the staff of the client asked. My boss responds, "You guys are over 3 months overdue on your invoice. We have tried to get payment on multiple occasions, but still haven't." One of the staff from the client makes a call to their boss. Eventually the phone is handed over to my boss. He says, "If you can get here in the next 10 minutes, which is how long it will take us to recover our goods, we'll return the computers." Amazingly, the boss of the client makes it within 10 minutes. Cash in hand for the amount our invoice was outstanding. The cash is accepted by my boss. We replace the PCs and leave. A payment receipt is emailed to the client, and this was the last we ever heard from them. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.